Although this 1986 Celica has only done 177,000 kilometres on the clock, one was said it's quite a short distance for its age. But despite the short distance, the engine was quite tight and worn out. It needed a lot of TLC. This genuine 3SFE Toyota Celica motor, along with a 5-speed Toyota Celica gearbox, gave this girl some old TLC. Her exhaust was full of holes, the muffler completely had it. With the use of an arc welder and a grinder, we were able to go and clean up all those rust holes in the exhaust pipe and put on a high-performance, high-flow muffler. Now alongside with the pod intake.
What happened was when we first got the car, the first thing we noted was the paint. Basically, the previous person that had it ended up doing a respray and he didn't do it right. Firstly, he put a clear coat 2 mm thick on some parts. That proved to be too thick for it to handle, it seems. After quite a long period, say 3 years, it seems like it started to crack. So when we got the car, to make it look nice, we needed to respray it. Now we thought we could use a random orbital sander to quicken the process, but that proved useless. The problem was he used metallic acrylic paint, and you can't use random orbital sanders with metallic acrylic paint. So what we had to do was use wet and dry and hand sand the whole thing in order to get rid of the old paint. What we did was we first used 80 grit wet and dry to get rid of the top coat and the clear coat, get down to the base layers. From there, we decided to use 300 and 400 grit sandpaper to finish it off. After we did all that, got rid of all the old paint, well most of it, we decided to put primer filler on. Now primer filler, what that does is the primer and fills up all the scratches and indentations and pinholes that are within the paint underneath it. And it actually works a treat. We end up using K&H primer filler. It's not really necessarily cheap, apparently it's what the professionals use. It ended up taking 2 hours to spray it. We just used a standard spray gun with a compressor within a garage. And this is the result. Basically what happens is you spray the car with primer filler, and then you take spray putty, which is a primer also, so you can paint the top coat on it. And you put a guide coat over it, which is basically a sacrificial kind of spray paint. We use black in this instance. And what happens is, you know, when you sand the car, you can see where you've sanded, because when you sand off the guide coat, which is the sacrificial black paint, it indicates where you've sanded and where you haven't sanded. We hand sanded the primer filler, which is a lot faster to sand than, say, the initial paint that we took off with 800 grit wet and dry. And the result is actually, well, it was quite surprising for us. It's very, very smooth indeed. Basically all the scratches and most of the imperfections that were within the car, which we thought the primer filler wouldn't get rid of, ended up being hidden, and it did its job very well.